Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about how you became involved in directing the documentary and how did you maybe hear about the story and what really interested you in taking part in directing?
Sure. Daniel Rolnick, the son of Sarah Rolnick, who's the narrator of the film, um, he approached me with the project. He at first just wanted to do a small film that would just be handed down to his family. And I saw something bigger than that. And so when I was pitching him I was replying to his request to meet with me. I didn't want to sound like I was just trying to get the gig by saying, "Oh, I think this could be big" or whatever. But I did think that other people could relate to it because it's such a, a story that I just think that needs to be heard, and I think we all can benefit from watching this documentary. But obviously, at the time, I just learned a little bit about it. And so he liked what I had to say and wasn't really sure that we were going to get into any festivals. And we're happy that we're doing our festival run, which is great. And yeah, it's become something that I thought it could be when I first heard about it from Daniel.
Mhm. And speaking about the festival run, now with the film playing here in New York at the Big Apple Film Festival coming up, what's that experience been like and being able to share the movie here in New York and just on the festival circuit in general as
Well, it's amazing. I mean, we had our world premiere in Catalina, and that was incredible. They, came out to be part of that, and so did I, because I'm in Brooklyn. They're in Long Island. And with the Big Apple Film Festival, that's happening in a few days from now, and um, we're really excited. I mean, to have our New York premiere um, is just great because being that we live here, being that the film was shot in Woodmere, Long Island, it means a lot. So we're just trying to really just take everything in. I mean, even though the festival hasn't started yet, there's a lot to prepare for, and yeah, we're very excited. But to see the film on the big screen in an audience like we did in Catalina, to see a family that really doesn't know anything about film. I mean, they entrusted me to take produce their documentary for them, but they had no idea that they were going to get into a festival. So for them to go through this experience is just incredible because it's exciting. It's exciting to go to the parties, to be Sarah's being recognized because she's the face of the film, and she's very sweet, and it's very interesting and a pleasure to see it through their eyes, in a sense, to be side by side by them.
well. And after the festival run, do you have any ideas or plans yet that you can discuss also about an official release for the film or what's coming up next in general and how you're going to show the film in general?
Well, right now, we are talking through Catalina. I met a distributor who was at a panel discussion out there, and I have two other films that I'm shopping. I have a another documentary that I did on my father, who was an artist, and then I also did a feature narrative. It's a psychological thriller called The Luring, and that's actually how I met Daniel. My executive producer of The Luring knows Daniel, and Daniel then reached out to me. So that was kind of like the connection that brought us together. But right now, we're talking to this one distributor, and hopefully with this opportunity in New York, we're going to be talking to more. We have a lot more festivals that we're probably going to get into that we've submitted to, so we're just keeping our fingers crossed to see what happens. But it's so early in the stages, we don't really know exactly yet what's going to happen. But with the response that we're getting from the film, it'll definitely be seen somewhere. We just don't have a platform signed yet, or just a distribution deal as of yet. But things are kind of cooking.
Also, speaking about working with Daniel as producing partners on the documentary, what was that experience like in that sense, in collaborating as producers as well?
I mean, he's great. The whole family is great. Again, this is their first film. They really went into this kind of blind, but he's been great. They've really been the whole family's been really amazing in terms of giving the film anything that it needs. I know Sarah was very nervous when she was talking in front of the camera. She's not an actress. She's not a narrator. She's never really been in front of the camera. So I had him ask her questions because I knew that that would put her at ease. So her eye line was looking at her son, and that helped quite a bit. And it's just basically being just another person that I can talk to, or if there's updates, he's always available. Yeah, he's been great. The whole family's been very supportive and very excited. The whole experience is sort of it's exceeded their expectations because they just wanted it to be
Mhm.
for their history of their family to be handed down, and to have all these other things happen like these festivals and whatnot. It's and we're getting a little bit of press. It's kind of becoming a little bit of a of a film that people want to see. So it's a really cool experience for everyone.
Yeah. And once you really got to know Daniel and Sarah, what was the experience like there throughout the production to really get to know them better and do research on their family as well?
Sarah's a sweetheart. Her story about her two parents that survived the Holocaust is heartbreaking, but it's also inspiring because there was a family that risked their lives to hide Sarah's mother and her family in a barn for 2.5 years. Her father had a different path and had a different family at the time. And unfortunately, the father, with his family, things didn't turn out so good. And then the two met, and then they had a baby, and Sarah was born. So meeting Sarah and learning this about her family, um, it obviously creates a certain bond because they're bearing their soul, and she's great. I mean, the whole family's great. I mean, it puts things in perspective for me. I mean, we were as I was editing this with my editor Mark, you're constantly reminded that people are going through a lot of stuff, and it's and in history, obviously, people have endured so many tragedies, and so for me, it teaches me to always remember to always be kind, and so I'm hoping that message. Uh, I'm hoping that people can get that from this film, and Sarah is such a great spokesperson for the film. At Catalina, so many people would go up to her and talk to her because they saw the poster and they knew about the film because just all the stuff all the buzz that was happening, and she's so humble, and the whole family is just a really welcoming group of people, and I feel so fortunate to be part of it. I mean, it's it's such an amazing story, and for me to be part of it is just it's really incredible.
Mhm. Also, speaking about the editing process, I was actually about to ask about that experience as well
Uh,
and how you really worked with Mark to really put the final version of.
So when we shoot the film, we had an outline, bullet points of what Sarah needed to to talk about. When you're dealing with someone who's never really been in front of the camera, you want to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So you have them just basically have bullet points, and in editing, we can edit out all the stuff that we don't need. And to do that, you can the better way to do it is to have a two camera setup, camera A, camera B. So, let's just say hypothetically, she starts telling a story and we really like the beginning of it, but maybe the middle of it kind of strays away from the topic. We can edit all that out and then cut to camera B. So in the editing, there was obviously a lot of stuff that we had to take out. Um, and I wanted to make sure that because this is obviously their story, their history, we wanted to make sure we had to keep obviously a lot of things in, and I used the outline as a guide, but where things were placed was really up to me, and there's a certain secret or thing that history that Sarah learns about her father after when he passed. He didn't talk a lot about what happened to him during World War II, and that's revealed in the documentary. And I chose to reveal it when it is revealed because it's sort of like a lead up to that moment, and then there's all these other things that are happening as well because both her mother and her father were they're both survivors, but they had very different survivor stories. And there's just so much information that we had to kind of sift through, and there was some parts that we had to take out. Like there's a whole maybe like 15-20 minutes that we took out because when we did a test screening, it just didn't resonate too well. It just sort of distracted from the whole arc of the story, and so that was I was surprised by that because I really liked it, but I you kind of have to be objective, and as a producer, you just have to say, okay, look, if audiences aren't riveted by this information, then why keep it? And so and it just made the documentary so much better, more poignant.
Also, speaking about the camera work, I also wanted to ask about working with your cinematographer and really figuring out how you wanted to shoot the film visually as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't really have a lot to work with. So it wasn't like we had all this archival footage and we didn't want to use World War II archival footage because this is such a personal story with this family, and we put names to these people. And so I basically took all the photos that they had, which again that wasn't that much, and I discussed with Phelps, who's the DP, of the kind of feeling that I wanted to have in the documentary. So anytime when you're in pre-production and you're talking to your DP, you're obviously looking at other films that are kind of this genre and looking at tones. And I asked Daniel to take photos of the house. Usually you do a location scout, but we didn't get a chance to do that because this is we shot this, I guess, still there was COVID because we took a test before we went into the house. We didn't want to get anyone sick, and we shot this in 4 days. And we shot this on a Monday, Wednesday, then Monday, Wednesday. We didn't shoot it consecutive days. So it was 2 weeks, 4 days that we shot this in. And yeah, you just have to just be on the same page with your DP. And we had someone on set called a DIT, which basically takes all the footage and makes sure that nothing's corrupt. And they did a preliminary color correction, and we did that in front of Daniel to kind of show him what our options were to more warm tones versus cold tones like blues and yellows and whatnot. And then in post, then Mark ramped that color up, and so everyone is communicating throughout the whole entire process, so everyone's on the same page. So even though Phelps and we were talking about the set design and all that, and the look of the film in terms of is the background going to be in focus or not, even things like that. You know, it's all under an umbrella that everyone has to be on the same page, so you achieve that look that I wanted to have.
With the subject matter being so relevant to what's going on in the world today, why do you feel this movie is so important to be released now and seen by audiences around the world as well?
I it's such a it's so important because I feel that with everything that's happening, especially in the Middle East, innocent people are dying and being killed. And I feel that not that I think if we, sent this film out into the world, like, is that going to create peace within people? But I think that as a person, as an artist, I want to at least make some sort of impact on the world in a positive way. And so what this film does is that it inspires you to be more kind to others because there are evils in the world. There are people that want to cause harm. And what's happening in the Middle East is heartbreaking to see these innocent people killed. And in our film, in our documentary, there's a family that risks their lives to save another family. And it's very important to remember that in the face of war, in the face of terror, there are people that will stand up to that and will risk their lives to create peace. And so we're hoping that people will watch this and that'll resonate with them.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it. Mhm.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
You're welcome. Thank you again.